Hey everyone, I'm Tasha from It's a Yoga Vibes, and tonight is going to be a good one. We are going to embark on a beginner's power yoga flow. Power yoga is a little more fast-paced vinyasa flow of yoga class, where we move a little bit quicker between each poses, but we're really just trying to target and strengthen our core, our arms, and our legs. Everything just to build this up and prepare us for everything that we have in store for us. So, I did mention that it is a beginner's power yoga, so I'm not going to be doing a lot of moves or poses or moving way too fast. This is going to be easy enough for everyone to keep up, as well as feel the benefit of a power yoga experience. So, if you are ready, make sure you grab your blocks, your straps, pillows, bolsters, whatever you may need to make you feel comfortable. I will be offering different variations of a pose just so that we can all get the same great experience from doing these poses. So we're going to actually start in easy pose. So I just need you to begin by crossing both of your legs, one in front of the other, planting your feet directly underneath your knees so that it can feel comfortable. If you are feeling any tension along the knees, make sure you grab your blocks to place it right underneath your knees just to release that tension. If you are feeling any tension along the hips, you can always grab your blocks, whether it be one or two, and put it underneath your seat and begin to feel that elevation and release from the hips. So here we are just going to kind of relax and get in touch with our bodies and our breath in this easy pose. So here I'd like for you to just do some natural breathing, and let's pay attention to how the breath goes into the body and how it comes out of the body as we breathe. We're also going to just imagining how the air is feeling. We're going to also check in with our bodies just to make sure that, we are feeling comfortable, making any adjustments along the way. So the most important thing about yoga is the breath. And we use the breath as a focal point so that anytime that you may feel a little tension, a little uneasy, we always bring our focus or attention to our breath just so that we can feel focused and calm and grounded as we practice or go throughout all of the poses. So now we're going to begin to just do some deep breathing in through the nose and out of the mouth. So as we continue to breathe in deeply and breathing out deeply, we will want to take this time to set an intention for our practice, whether it be that you want to create like an affirmation, like I am powerful, I am strong, I am supported, I am loved, something that you can use in addition to keep using your breath as that focal point to kind of guide you and keep you grounded as you practice your asanas or your yoga poses. So as we continue to breathe, let's just breathe in, I am love, and breathe out all that negative self-talk. Breathe in, I'm strong, and breathe out all that tension. Let it melt onto the mat. And breathe in, I am love. Breathe out any worries that you may be carrying or concerned about. And just let that carry on through the rest of the practice. And we're going to add a little warm up. So first I'd like for you to bring both hands up and above your heads. And then we're going to turn towards the right and plant our hands onto the mat. Your left hand will be in front of you. The right hand will be behind you. And you can send your gaze behind you as well. Breathing into that nice stretch. On your next inhale, let's return to center, bringing our hands back up to the sky. And this time we're going to turn towards the left side, planting our hands, one in the front, one behind us, sending your gaze behind you as well. Holding here, breathing here. And on your next inhale, let's begin to return to center, bringing both of our hands up to the sky. This time we are going to begin to lean towards the side. Plant your right hand onto the mat, and stretching your left hand up and over your head. Breathing in deeply. And breathe out. On your next inhale, we're going to return back to center with both our hands to the sky. This time, reaching out all the way to the bottom of the mat, bringing your right hand up and over your head. Breathing here. And holding. And on our next inhale, we are going to come back to center, bringing our hands back to the sky, sending our gaze along with it. And then we're going to gently bring our hands planted onto our knees and add some cat-cow stretches. So from here, we are going to breathe in and round our spine towards the back of the room. Breathe out, lifting our hearts and our gaze up to the sky. Breathe in, rounding the spine. Breathe out, lifting our gaze and our hearts. Breathe in, rounding the spine. Breathe out, lifting our hearts and our gaze. Breathe in and breathe out. One more time, breathe in and breathe out. And let's return back to center. Add in some more easy pose twists. Let's bring both of our hands back up to the sky. This time we're going to turn towards the left side of the mat, bringing our hands back onto the mat, one in front and one hand behind you. Breathe in deeply in the nose and out of the mouth. Inhale, let's bring both of our hands up, return into center. And this time, let's turn towards the right side, bringing both of our hands back down. One hand in front of the body, the other hand behind you. Breathing in through the nose and out through the mouth. Let's breathe in one more time and breathe out. Inhale, let's bring both of our hands back up to the sky, sending our gaze all the way up, allowing our heads to drop a little bit. And now we're just going to gently bring our hands down all the way to the mat, coming into our mountain pose. From our mountain pose, we're going to go into a downward facing dog, having your hands planted onto the mat, parallel to our shoulders, feet parallel to our hips. Let's bring our right foot up to the sky and then bend it. Bring it up to the sky and then bring it to your chest, up to the sky and bring it to your chest, up to the sky and bring it to the chest. We're going to plant both our feet going back into downward facing dog and begin to glide your crown towards the top of the mat, dropping our bellies onto the mat, bending at the elbows, chaturanga, lifting our crowns and our hearts to the sky. In upward facing dog, let's tuck our toes, sending our hips up to the sky and upward face and downward facing dog. So now we're going to bring our right foot to the top of the mat, keeping your leg at a 90-degree angle, bringing both of our hands up in our warrior one. And then we're going to float our left foot to meet the right and go into our forward fold. We're going to lift up halfway, forward fold all the way down, and roll up all the way to mountain pose. Now let's go back into downward facing dog, keeping everything aligned. This time, let's lift up the left leg, bring it close to our chest. Lift up the left leg, bring the knee close to chest. Lift up our left leg, bring the knee close to chest. Lift up our left leg, knee close to chest. And now we're going to float our feet to meet each other, sliding our crown into our plank, bending at the elbows, bringing our bellies onto the mat. Untuck the toes in our chaturanga, lifting our hearts and crowns up to the sky in our upward facing dog. Tuck the toes, sending the hips up into downward facing dog. And now we're going to bring our left knee up to the top of the mat. Tucking your toes on the right leg and bringing both of our hands up in warrior one. Let's breathe in and float our right foot to meet the left, going down into our forward fold, lifting up halfway, falling back down into our forward fold, rolling all the way up into our mountain pose. Let's go into a downward facing dog, gliding our bodies up to our plank, dropping the belly onto the mat, untucking the toes, going into upward facing dog. Tuck the toes, Bringing the hips up to downward facing dog. We're going to begin to walk our hands together to our forward fold. Roll all the way up into our mountain pose. So let's just check in, see how we're feeling, how's everyone doing, catching our breath. And now we're going to add a pyramid pose. So let's bring our foot to the top of the mat, keeping our left leg at a 45-degree angle. Let's begin to forward fold at the hip. And now we're going to bring our hands to meet the right foot. And hold in here. And as we inhale, we are going to begin to bend that right knee, lowering the left leg onto the mat, scooting the left leg behind us, and holding here, and then lizard pose. If you want a added stretch, you can also begin to move on to your forearms. You may also use a block to better support you. Let's just breathe here. Inhale, let's begin to straighten our hips and extend our legs as if we're going into a half split. Keeping your right hand planted onto your mat. Let's bring our left hand up to the sky. And now we're going to plant both of our hands onto the mat, bending the right leg in a 90-degree angle, coming up and bringing both of our hands in an upward salute. And now we're going to plant both of our hands onto the mat, floating our right foot to meet the left, tucking the toes, going into plank. And from here, let's begin to drop the right knee and kind of slide your foot towards the right and a supported side plank, bringing your hands up and over your head and hold here. Let's inhale, beginning to bring both hands back onto the mat, coming into tabletop, lifting your hips up to the sky, back in downward facing dog. We're going to begin to walk our hands together, going into a forward fold. And let's sway from side to side. Breathing in through the nose and out of the mouth. And we're going to roll one vertebrae up at a time into our mountain pose. So I'm checking in on everyone, making sure that we're all good. Grab a sip of water. And let's get back in the game. So we are going to, again, go into a pyramid pose, bringing our left foot, extend it out, or the opposite side if you did the opposite side. but we're going to begin to forward fold at the hip, going into a pyramid pose, planting both of our hands, one on the inside, one on the outside of the foot, lowering your crown as close to your knee as possible. And on your next inhale, let's begin to bend that left knee, taking the right leg, lowering it onto the mat, and let's just scoot the left leg out just so we can have that added stretch. And we're going to keep the left knee at a 90-degree angle. And we can either just hold here in our lizard pose, or if you want that added stretch, kind of heel toe your feet out to the outside of the mat and bring both of your forearms onto the mat and hold here. Or like I said earlier, you can always grab your block for a supported lizard pose. But you are also always welcome to meet me here in our original lizard pose. And on your next inhale, we are going to send our hips back, extend and slide our left leg as if we're about to go into a half split. Planting our left hand, bringing the right hand up. Oops, let me grab my block. But I'm going to bring my right hand up and over my head and hold here. Now let's move the block out the way, bend the knee. We're going to now float our left foot to meet the right, lifting up into our plank, gliding our crowns all the way up, lowering onto our bellies, untuck the toes, lifting our heart and crown up to the sky and upward facing dog. Let's breathe in. We're going to tuck our toes, lift our hips up into downward facing dog, pushing your hips back. Let's begin to walk our hands and our feet together in our forward fold, swaying from side to side. Lift up halfway with a flat back, and then forward fold again, swaying from side to side. And let's begin to roll up one vertebrae at a time back into mountain pose. So how do you feel? Let's check in with our bodies. We can take a moment to grab a sip of water. Making sure that from the crown all the way to our feet is in alignment and feeling good as we do this practice. So as you're checking in, let's meet me in tabletop. So here we're going to remember to keep the shoulders stacked above the wrists and the hips stacked above your knees. And we're going to add a tiger pose with a little kick to it. So from here, we're going to begin to lift our foot up in tiger pose and hold here. remembering to breathe. And let's inhale and bring the knee to the chest and move into tiger. Knee to chest, moving back into tiger. Knee to chest, moving back into tiger. Knee to chest, moving back into tiger. Feeling the nice stretch along the hamstrings, along the hips, along the spine. And then we're going to just come onto our forearms and extend the right leg for a couple of breaths. Breathe in through the nose and breathe out through the mouth. And then let's bring our right knee to meet the left leg. Going into our tabletop. And from here, we're going to go into a plank pose. So just hold in here for a few breaths. And then we can add a little lift of our legs. 1, 2, 3, 4. And let's come back into tabletop. From here, you're welcome to add some cat-cow stretches. Breathing in as we round the spine, and breathing out as we drop the belly. Breathe in as we round the spine, and breathe out as we drop the belly. Breathe in and breathe out. Breathe in and breathe out. One more time. Breathe in and breathe out. And then we're going to add our tiger pose. Just hold in here for a couple of breaths. And adding the crunch, bringing the knee to heart and lifting back up. Knee to heart, 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 and lifting back up. Let's hold here for a couple more breaths. And now we're going to go onto our forearm and straighten out the leg, and let's hold here. And now we're going to bring the left leg to meet the right leg, and coming back into our tabletop, adding another set of cat-cow stretches. And then we're going to begin to send our hips back towards our heels, walking our hands directly above our crowns, lowering our crown towards the mat, holding here in child's pose. And let's begin to cool down. let's inhale, return into our tabletop. We're going to cross our feet and send our hips over to our feet and come back into an easy pose. And we're going to do our side bends that we did at the top of the class. So this time we are going to bring our right hand up to the sky and then send our gaze towards the left side of the mat, bringing your right hand on top of your left knee. And we're going to just bring our left hand behind our backs. Send the gaze behind you. Breathe. Let's release ourselves, come into center, and bring our left hand onto the right knee. Sending your right hand behind your back. Breathe in. On your next inhale, let's come back to center, bringing both of our hands up to the sky. And now we're going to just gently plant it onto our knees. Let's bring our right hand onto our left knee and send our left hand up and over our heads. And breathe here. And let's release ourselves, bringing our left hand onto our right knee and our right hand up and over our heads. And let's continue to stretch and breathe. Inhale, and let's release ourselves, bringing both of our hands back onto the knee, adding our final cat-cow stretches. Breathing in, rounding the spine. Breathing out, lifting our gaze and hearts. Breathe in, rounding the spine. Breathe out, lifting our hearts and gaze up to the sky. And let's return to center as we inhale. And we're going to just turn over to the side, coming into a staff pose, extending both of your legs out in front of you. And now we're just going to roll one vertebrae at a time directly onto the mat. And let's bring both of our knees up and bent. And then we're going to raise it towards our heart as close as possible. And we're just going to hold here, squeezing our legs, giving it a nice, warm, loving hug. You can begin to rock from side to side, just to give your body that extra massage. Now let's add a fun little twist to this by taking our right hand and putting it to the outside of the left leg and kind of guiding it all the way down to the outside of the mat, and bringing your left hand all the way to the outside of the mat on the left hand side. For added stretch, you can send your gaze along with it. On our next inhale, let's begin to release ourselves, bringing both knees towards your heart, giving yourself a nice little squeeze. Before we take our left hand, bring it to the right, outer right side of your knee, and kind of guide it towards the left side of the mat, bringing your right hand to the outside of the right side of the mat, sending your gaze towards your right hand. Breathing into the stretch, releasing all that tension as you breathe out. And continuing this pattern, breathing in and breathing out. And let's inhale once more, bringing both of our knees to our heart, giving yourself a nice big old squeeze. Before we begin our Savasana, we're going to send both of our legs out, extended out, straight in front of us. You're welcome to grab any pillows or blankets or bolsters as we go into Savasana. And just stay laying down. And I'm just going to check up on everybody as you are in your Savasana pose. So as you move into Savasana with your arms alongside your bodies and your palms facing up, let's just begin to release our shoulders onto the mat, tucking your shoulder blades, allowing that to just fall onto the mat. As you are breathing in, like I said earlier, you can grab your blankets or your pillows and put it wherever, if you want it underneath your spine or underneath your leg. But this time is for you, so just grab whatever you need so that you can feel supported in this relaxation state. Begin to soften your gaze and allow your body to release the tension from your eyebrows, releasing the tension from your jawline, your neck, your shoulders. Continuing to breathe. As you release the tension, you are breathing out that release. And you are breathing in that affirmation, that intention that we had set earlier at the top of the class. So maybe you can say to yourself in your mind, every time you breathe in, I am supported. And then breathe out. And breathe in, I am loved. And breathe out. Breathe in, I am strong. And breathe out. Continuing to do that. Making any adjustments that you will need to feel good in this pose. Making that connection between the affirmations that we created, the breathing that we're focusing on, and how we made it through this beginner's power yoga class, knowing that we are supported, we are strong, and we are loved. And let's just take a few moments just to enjoy this quiet time. So we're going to begin to return back to our regular activity. Let's begin by bringing both of our hands up and over our heads. Breathing into that stretch. On our next inhale, we're going to bring both of our hands up to the sky, allowing the blood to flow all the way down to the rest of our bodies. Let's plant our hands onto the mat and push us up into a seated position. You can either keep your legs extended out or just have it in a easy pose position, crossing your legs, putting your feet underneath your knees. Just breathing in once more, breathing out, allowing us to enjoy that good feeling that we had from finishing this class. And I would like to thank you before you go to your normal activity. I would like to thank you for allowing me to hold space with you today. I hope that this class was very helpful, very empowering for you, as it was for me. And you know, as we continue to practice our poses and become stronger, we can continue to feel empowered and take on any difficulty that we may be facing, any obstacle, and carry it on throughout our day. And that's how we do practice yoga on and off the mat. So again, thank you. Hopefully I will see you at my next class. And take care. Be well.